Okay, so I've got my basic floor here, which I am going to modify slightly just before I go into stairs, but stairs is really the main thing I want to look at. So I've got the reference plane which I used to make this, set out the floor and my stairs, and I thought it's just a good chance to go over a few things with you that are kind of basic in the program, but easy to miss. So lots of little tips and tricks you can just pick up along the way. And so I'll just quickly over those. What I want to do is mirror, and I want to make sure this platform connects to my duct. So I am going to start with the reference plane, the floor, and my stairs all selected, just using control. And then with mirror pick axis, I can easily pick that grid line in the center. Notice I've got copies. Now I'll just undo that. I did mean to deselect the copy option, but it's a good chance to show you that as well. So again, now I'll click mirror pick axis, and you'll see on the options bar the option to copy. So I'm going to turn that off now, and now again pick that same grid line, and I get the original object mirrored across instead of a new one. And so now what I want to do is bring this reference plane around so that I can have some of this floor touching that duct, and that's part of the, one of the main reasons I actually want the platform there. You'll see later. So I can't just rotate the floor, and even rotating the stairs might not be such a good idea. So I'll leave those as well for now, and I'll just start by rotating the reference plane. And so I'll just with the rotate tool bring the base point. So this is one of the things I really wanted to show you again. Had a bit of a look at this last week, but sort of make sure when you move the little dot there, that's moving the base point around which you are rotating. And I'm going to snap here to the midpoint of that column, which should be the center. And so now I'll be rotating around that point. And then you get another little gizmo, or this line that comes out from that icon. That's not the rotation angle, that's your base angle. So that means I can click onto this reference plane now, it'll start measuring from there. So I can bring it around now, and you can see finally the angle comes up, and that is the rotation angle. So I'm going to, by eye, just bring this down to the duct, and I can see pretty clearly how much of the duct I'll be covering as I move that, and that gives me some nice or some angle values that I can see. So what is it, 17, 18 or so, maybe even 20 might work. Okay, so then I've still got the option of typing that angle in. So I'll do that, 20. It's always good to have round numbers if you can. Okay, and that'll rotate it accurately, still around the base point that I chose. Okay, so it might seem like I was doing a lot of little fiddly things there, but they should be pretty simple as long as you're confident using those tools and you understand each of the options that you're using along the way. And so now I'm going to rotate these elements that I've got, the floor and the stairs, that need to be aligned with that. So you probably know the align tool, but I'll show you some other ways. So with the floor selected, edit boundary will take me back to the sketch. Okay, so I'm going to select all the lines at the bottom here. Using a regular window, left to right, I can go over just those lines, and you can see there it's not selecting the lines either side. So I just want to make sure you know that one. That's a window, not a crossing window. Have you done that with other things in AutoCAD? Yeah. That's right, exactly. Yeah. So, so you've got that in most Autodesk programs, and so now again I can use rotate, just like I had earlier, and I can again make sure the base point is where I want it to be. It looks like it's on the right point anyway, but it doesn't hurt just to double check. And so again, I can use the edge here as my base angle. So you can see there's the line coming out from my base point, so I'm going to snap that onto this edge here, and now I can bring that around and it'll line up exactly with the reference point. Okay, so now you can see the ends have automatically joined, so that's done. I can just finish that one, and I'll get this question. If you're not sure about this one, just say yes every time. I do. So if it's asking anything about joining and cutting, that's a tedious thing to do, and you know you're going to have to do it manually. if you don't let the program do it for you, so just always say yes, I think, for that one. Attaching is a different story, so if it asks you about attaching, think about it. If it asks you about cutting, then you don't have to think so much. Okay, so with edit in place, I can go and edit my solids that I've used for the stair now, and these should be pretty straightforward. I can just select them using the, again, using a window. To make it easier for me to see them, I'm just going to nudge them down using the arrow keys there so that I can actually see the corners I'm after. And so I just wanted to show you here, move and copy basically work in the same way. In that, I'll just show you with move, you have to give a base point first. And so I'll click on the corner here to pick it up from that point, and I can snap it then onto the corner here. Remember the constraint option, if it will only go in one direction, just turn that off. Okay, so now they line up exactly. So yeah, I'll just deselect those and just show you, if you select anything, you get the move symbol obviously whenever you hover over anything that's already selected. And so you might be thinking, well, why use this move icon? Why use the move tool? And the reason is when you need a base point. That's the whole point of it. Okay, so just like I did there, I needed to line the corner up of the stair from the stair with the corner of my floor accurately. So I needed to snap onto that base point. That's why you use the move tool. Same with the copy tool. And so you've got a lot of those basic things. If you're comfortable using AutoCAD, they'll be second nature, but it's easier to miss them in Revit because you know, they try and make it so intuitive. You miss a lot of the sort of essential tools. So now I can just use rotate again with the base point here onto the corner. It will snap to the underneath with any luck. It's going to be difficult though, so what I'll do is cancel that and go to wireframe. Then I can easily see my edges, and I can again select those two solids using control. Rotate again and use the base point, put that onto the corner, and now I'll snap onto the back of the stair to give my base angle, and then bring that around to the edge of my floor for my new angle. Okay, so then there is one final thing. The flooring here is not at a very good angle. Okay, and so I'll rotate that around. It's really up to you the way you would go here. It's a tricky thing with floorboards on steps. It's probably something to avoid, but I'll just show you, just as an example, how to rotate the pattern around so it aligns with the elements, with the stairs. Okay, so you can use Tab to select one of those shape elements. Okay, so I'll just do that again. Just with nothing selected, if you hover over one of the lines in any pattern, then just press Tab, and eventually it'll come up with just the line from the pattern, not the whole element selected. And so it's coming up as join geometry. Don't worry about that. Down here you can see it's saying join geometry. Don't get confused by that. The important thing is that you can see that one line highlighted, then you should be able to get the rotate tool. Again, it gives you a base point, so it would make it easier here for me to move this onto the end of the line, coming around with the base angle on the line itself, and then down to the edge of the step to set the new angle. Okay, so any of those patterns can be adjusted like that. I'll just select this one now and do the same thing. So tab until I get the individual line. Move, you can see, would work as well, so I can move this to a new location. That's not the important thing here though, it's rotate that I have to do, so I'll just bring this base point again to the end, starting with the line itself as my base angle, and then the edge of the step again as the new angle. Right, now it's a horrible pattern for these stairs, as I was saying, because it makes it look like all the stairs become quite unreadable there. There are ways you can change the colour, and well, actually that's a very quick thing I can show you, because we're not going to be looking at materials in detail until a little bit we'll do next week. We're actually going to start doing that, but I do want to quickly also gradually introduce these things to you. And so I've been using this timber material for my steps, which you can see has this 50mm horizontal pattern, and the lines are set to be black. So a simple thing I can do here is change the colour to grey. If you've been wondering what these colours down here do, they're not for the surface, they're not anything to do with shading in the colour, it's all about the patterns. These two colour swatches. So I'm just going to hit OK, and you'll see all of my timber now. The hatching has grey, and I can easily see that this is the edge of a step, not the edge of a board. So notice because I've finished my family, this was my steps family, I can now select the floor, which means I can also select any of those pattern elements within the floor, and I'll do that now just using tab. I can get to one of those lines, and again click on rotate. I've zoomed out so I can find the base point there. It's a long line, so I knew it would be far away. So here I can click onto the, snap onto the end of that line, make sure I give the base angle on the line itself, and then the new angle on the edge of my floor, again in this case, and there we are, it's all perfectly lined up. So little things like that, if you keep on top of it along the way, it makes your life a lot easier. And so now I can get onto what I really want to, which is stairs. Going to my section box view, you can see now that I have this area where on my mezzanine, that's the level of my platform, I can have various stairs going up to my new level. So I'll just go to my next section box view, and you can see here the level above, I don't actually have a floor there just yet. So I'll quickly put that in on level 2, just using the simplest floor I can make. So just with the floor tool, I'll use pick walls to get the sides. So going around the duct only, but not worrying too much about anything else that might be complex, so that'll do. And so then pick lines. Now I can switch to and get things like the reference plane there, and I'll just use the edge of the beam here. That'll do. I say with trim, I can join them together, and I've got a working floor that I can take my stairs up to. So that's always an important thing, and probably should be the starting point in your thought process when you're establishing your stairs. It's really important that you start with the floor-to-floor height, not the floor to ceiling or anything like that. That's not going to help you. So I'll finish my floor, and again, we know when it asks about cutting and joining, you can always say yes. So then in my section boxed view, again you can see now that I have this floor, and so it is going to then give you an opportunity to have different stairs. So I'll go to the level 1 mez, just so that's clear. In the section view, you can see here that level 1 mez is 540 above the ground, or level 1, sorry. And I'll just bring that up so you can see it. Okay, so so my floor-to-floor height is 3750 minus 540. And I'm sure you can do the maths, but it's not a bad idea to dimension that so that you know, and other people looking at this drawing will know right away, so it wouldn't hurt while you're doing something like this to just put in all of those running dimensions. And there we go, that floor thickness wouldn't hurt. No, sorry, let's take that one out. We'll put that on another row. So that's a good way of doing it, just to begin with, just between the levels. And so we'll bring this across. So it's all still legible. So one fun I should show you here is if you just keep on top of things, keep it organised, set things out in a sensible way, makes everything easier. Back to level 1, mez, and I can finally now start with my stairs. Right, so I'll just go to the stairs tool and just take you through the main methods. Have you used the run tool already to do different things, or just a little bit? Yeah. Yeah, sure, and they are fiddly, so if you're not using them all the time, it's tricky. The run tool is basically going to give you an automatic stair pretty quickly, so it's a good way of starting. And before you draw anything though, it's worth looking in properties and just get a good idea what's going to happen when you do make your stair. And so firstly, looking at the properties, you've got the stair type. And you really need to make a choice in Revit whether you're going to have a solid stair, which means something like a concrete stair, or a framed stair, which is essentially one with a stringer. Okay, so those two basic kinds of stairs. And it's important because the last tread is different. In a concrete stair, you don't have that last riser. The floor is your last tread. Okay, and so your last tread in the concrete stair is the one below. But in a stringer stair, the stringer has to go all the way to the floor above. So they're a little bit different. So that's why maybe at first it's worth avoiding the monolithic stair because that's a solid stair. All the concrete and monolithic stairs are solid and they're a bit trickier to work with. The framed stairs, so all of these stairs with stringers, all the residential stairs, the private stair, industrial, and this one at the top, they're all standard stairs with stringers. And so this one here, residential open riser middle stringer, is actually a pretty good stair. I've made that one and you've got this in your file. I'm going to go back though to 190mm max riser, 250mm going, and that's a standard Australian stair.
Is that quite a high step?
Yeah, 190 is your maximum riser.
Yeah.
So, it's good if you can have a lower riser. You can't go below 120? I was going to get the minimum, I think it's 120. Yeah, around 150 to 170 is good. But if you've got to go to 190, it's not a huge problem. Older stairs, they're much higher, 220, 230 I've lived in houses with.
So this is because on Monday, Alan was talking about using the front line stairs.
Yeah.
It is such a small space.
Yeah. Oh, look, if you have to do 190, that's what you've got to do. I lived in a house for years with 230 stairs. No one knows. Yeah. That's right. All the terraces around here do about that. So that's fine. Really, 190. I think they went overboard, if anything. But, the sort of people who sit on committees and decide these things. Anyhow, I'll just quickly draw one. You probably have a pretty good idea about this. So looking over at the width, it's 1,000. That's something you really need to set at first. When you make it with a run, it's hard to change that afterwards. You can, but it's much better if you get that right at the beginning. And then here, this is the other really important thing, the desired number of risers. So on 17, that's going to divide up for me my floor-to-floor height, and I end up with a 188.8 riser, which is pretty close to 190. So it's not a bad idea because we've got some room here to work to add some more risers just by adding that one riser. It'll go down to, you can see there, 178. Okay, so you can't put your own riser height in directly, and that's a good thing. You don't want to be able to do that really. You just want to be able to put in a number of risers and have it divide up the height to give you the riser height. So even 20 here, I'd say is going to be okay. 20 gives me 165 or 160.5 risers, which is really good. So I might go with 20. And so just those two things. I've checked the width. I'll leave it on 1,000, and then the desired number. And it's just a good habit to get into every time you make a stair to check those things first. And then lastly, also just double check your levels. You can be pretty sure of that, but it automatically picks up the level that you start drawing on, which in my case is level 1 mes, and then top level will be the level above that. So if you've got a level in between that you don't want the stair to go to, just skip it and move it on to the next one. So now I'm going to click a point and make my stair. So I'll just click anywhere here, and I know the floor edge is down here roughly somewhere, but I can't see that in this view. So I'm just going to go ahead. You can see after clicking that first point, it's showing me a preview. And if I go ahead now and move all the way to the end of that rectangle, it'll give me the full count. So just coming back before I click anywhere, it might be hard for you to read that, but it says 12 risers created, 8 remaining. So if I was to click there, I'd get my 12 risers, but I'd still have to go and make the last 8 somewhere else. I'll do that for you just to show you what happens. So if I click here, there's my 8, and then I need to click a new start point and then finish that somewhere to get the remaining risers. Notice it'll automatically fill in the landing if you do that. So I'll go back and just show you if I undo that. There we are. Back to run, and I'll just click one point this time, and then come down and go all the way to the end of my rectangle, and you can see it won't give you any more than the number of risers you put in over here. So 20 risers is my count there, and it will tell you that most of the time. It just disappears sometimes. There we are, 20 risers, 0 remaining, it says under the stair. And so I'll finish that, and I'll get a, not very exciting, but still useful, straight stair. Going to my section boxed views, you'll see that more clearly, and it's obvious there that it's running into the floor. So not very useful in this case to have a stair like that, and you can see the beam there is going to make it difficult even to cut out the floor. You could easily just adjust the floor shape if that was the only problem, but the beam is going to have some issues if you cut through it. So I'll go back and do a different stair. And so back to level 1 mez. And so I'll just delete that one and do a new one from scratch. I could have easily edited that one though. So clicking on the stairs tool again. And notice it's still got most of the settings that I had before, but I do need to check the desired riser count again. So I'll put that back to 20. And now with the first flight, I'm pretty sure if I come along in this direction somewhere, so I'll just start roughly here somewhere, and I'll do, let's see, 9 risers or so. Just notice it's snapping sometimes. So when you're counting out your risers, you'll see this little grey text coming up telling you what your riser count is, and you've got to be really careful if it's snapping to other things, because it'll go in threads, and you can see over to the right my threads are 250, and so if I don't snap to anything, it'll snap to those increments. But if I accidentally snap to, say, this whatever it is, surface hatch, it'll give me the same number of threads. So what is it, 8 there, 12 remaining, but they won't be, the last one won't be exactly 250. It'll be something else, whatever it snaps to. So that can throw out all your stairs if that's just slightly off. Because remember, your stairs all have to be even. That's really important. That's a legal requirement. Okay, so going out here, I do want about that number of steps, or about half. So I've got 20, and I want about 10 of them. So I'm going to zoom in roughly there where I need 10, and just make sure that nothing is highlighted. So notice there, just a bit to the left, it's snapping, but a bit away from it, and it's not. Really easy thing to get wrong. And I can double check there, 2250 is a nice round number. Okay, now this next bit, I'm going to switch to level 2. Okay, so notice I can see there the edge of my floor. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm after. So going back to the run tool, I'm still drawing with the same levels I started with. So this is a good, again, good technique to know about and to actually use. When you've started drawing something in sketch mode, you can always switch levels midstream. That's fine. So it's really useful when you're working on floors, ceilings, all sorts of things that operate across different levels. As long as you start on the right level, or if you don't, you can always change it over here. So this here, level 1 mez, it picked up because that's the plan I started drawing in. Having changed to level 2, it's not going to change the levels now. And so I'm just going to come over here to the plan again and click a point to start my new flight. Coming down there, it doesn't matter if I snap to anything here as long as I go past the end of the stair. So that's given me a nice good long flight of stairs, but now I need to move that into position more accurately. So using just select, so I've got modify, pressing escape will obviously cancel anything if you have commands running. And so there, I've selected all my lines. Using the move tool now, I can again snap to the corner of my steps and move all of those lines to this corner here. So not to the corner of the wall, but the corner of the column. And then just to by selecting the first flight. So again, using a window left to right, it only gives me the lines inside, and I can then just nudge this with the arrows, and you can see that works fine as well. The ends of my stair there are still connected. So the elements here that you really need to watch out for are the risers, the black lines, and then the green lines are your boundaries. The blue line is your run. So here, if you select that, you'll see it's where the run was drawn, but you can't actually create those directly. So you only get those when you use the run tool. And the run tool, you can see, also makes these black and green riser and boundary lines. But if necessary, you can make those manually, and that's what I'll be showing you next. So you've got the boundary tool and the riser tool, which let you make any of these segments by drawing directly, and I'll show you that just shortly. But also, when you use the run tool, you need to be aware of those things and make sure they're connected. Okay, so here my boundary lines, you can see, are connected end to end at the corner there, at the end of the stringer. This is where the stringer would be, either side. Then we'd essentially have a beam acting as the stringer, I suppose, for the landing. Coming along here, you've got to have a break before the next stringers either side of the next flight. So I'll finish that stair now, and we'll see in 3D. The stringers and everything else I've been talking about will be a lot clearer. Okay, so notice we've got the stringers either side where those boundary lines were. Where the landing is, it's just become flat. But it's essentially a stringer, just a non-sloping one. And notice the railings automatically followed the boundary. Okay, so you can work in sketch mode, hopefully, if you are comfortable drawing things like floors and other things that are created in sketch mode. It should be pretty straightforward. I'll just go and show you now, again using the Stairs tool, how to do basically something very similar, but not with the run tool. So using the boundary tool and the riser tool, I'll start by drawing some risers. And well, let's make it a little bit more interesting. I'll do some arcs. Instead of just straight lines, I'll do a curved segment. So you've got all the regular shape tools you'd normally have. And then here, I'll just click a couple of points to get an arc. And so let me just think about this a bit. Maybe out here, sorry, it would be better. Okay, so that will work as a riser, just fine. I'm going to, instead of drawing lots of these repeatedly, I'm going to select that and use the copy tool to get a new one. I'm still setting this out pretty roughly, but I want to make it at least a little bit neat. Oh yeah, absolutely. So that would often make sense with something like this, but I know if I go too far with offset, I'll end up with a zero radius here. So yep, I'll maybe just draw straight ones actually. So back to riser, I'll maybe just do a couple more arcs. This really would be borderline legal because we'd have all sorts of thread dimensions here, but just so you can see how flexible it can be when you make your own. Back to risers, I'll just do some straight ones now. And so something like this. So almost anything you like, and notice how it's still counting the risers. So I've got 5 created, 12 remaining. So they're pretty arbitrary, but you'll see in a moment it doesn't take long to tidy these up. And so how many 6 more? I'll just copy a few of these now. So notice it doesn't really care if things are drawn roughly, it can still pick up what they are. So how many 2 left? So I'll just, I'll just copy these. But then the main requirement aside from that is that they are joined to boundaries. Now, that would make a good point for landing. So, yep, and then I'll just draw one more. I'll just bring this up. So I need one more riser. Okay, so now I can put my boundaries in. Right, so the boundaries need to go from the bottom of each flight to the top of each flight. So again, I'll just quickly do those. This is where my flights are going to be. And then also at the edges of your landings. But notice they're not at the ends of the stairs. So your first and your last riser don't need to have boundaries. Hope that's right, we'll find out in a minute. So really important that you do snap to the endpoint, so I'm a bit worried about that one, but we'll come back and see in a moment. So again there, it's not being clear to me that it's snapping to the endpoint. If I hold it there for a minute, it'll probably tell me, but if you're not sure, you can always use tab to make sure that it is giving you the right snap. Okay, so that will work as a stair. It may even let me, if I just try hitting the tick there, sometimes it'll work. Okay, so it can recognise the boundaries that need to connect to the risers, but there it's not, you can see, not recognising it. So all you need to do then is use trim. So here you've got trim, extend multiple elements. I can select this boundary and then go along and just choose each of the risers that need to connect to it. So that doesn't take too long. Okay, so then to reselect an edge, you just click in blank space, click your new edge, and then away you go, selecting the things you want to trim. Okay, it's not quite as good as the AutoCAD trim, but it's pretty close. And so then, same with these, it's really important that everything is properly touching. Alright, so that should work now as a stair. So I'll just go to finish it, and it's got an issue with my boundaries still, so let's see if I can find where the problem is. So this is why you do need to be careful when you're drawing them. Any little gaps will stop it from working. Okay, so now I'm just going along, checking that these are all trimmed together. I think I know where the problem is. It's in that area. Oh no. There we go, these two. Okay, so the one I thought it was. There you are. And now I'll just, it's again, I'm sure that corner, and that needs to be touching on the endpoint as well. So quite often with Revit now, still giving it to me. I can't see, that shouldn't be a problem. I might just simplify my risers, because I definitely want to show you a non-standard stair. So arcs are more problematic than lines usually. And my floors, I'm just going to go into my view properties there. Show you a quick way. If you want to hide a certain category, you can always just go into here. So that way the floors are out of the way for the time being. So back to riser, and let's make sure everything does snap. How annoying. Now, that should work, but rather than fiddling around with that forever, another thing I can show you is that with the run tool, you can do part of the stair. So I'll just do some of it in a custom way. So you can always do the first part of it with run, or the last part of it, and then come back and draw some of the risers and some of the boundaries manually. And so I will use the offset tool this time just to save a bit of time. So let's make it 250. Oops, that one's overlapping. So let's just go back. So I'm just doing undo there. And so now, how many have we got? So 3 remaining. Okay, and then back to boundary, and being really careful here that I snap to each endpoint. Okay, so that should work. Let's try. Finish, and there we go. So that's given me a new custom shape stair, and just to now show you that arcs and things like that are just fine. I'll draw that in and it should be okay. So just using the regular arc tool. Okay, so my section box view. Now there we go, that's a boundary I've just drawn, so that was never going to work. So that should be a riser, of course. There we are. So that will be just fine, hopefully, as a riser. There we are. And then back in my section box view, you can see what it looks like in 3D. So there's a lot more I can show you with stairs, but for now, I'll just show you one last thing in this video because a lot of you I know will need these. I'm talking about spiral stairs. So just going to the stair tool again. Let's cancel that. So you can see again with Run, you've got the option for both straight segments and curve segments. Okay, so just by using the curve option there, or the arc option, all you need to do then is give a center point for your spiral stair or curved stair, and then you give a start point for the first step, and then bring it around to give an end point. That's it. Tick to finish, and it will make curving or spiral stair. Now, that's fine, and you should be able to get one working without too much trouble. But what you can find is that setting out spiral stairs in general is a little bit tricky. And you just want to think about the centre point always. You should have that set out, even for spiral stairs that don't have a centre post. So just think about, that's a really good tip I can give you. So going back to the plan here, if I was going to do a spiral stair, I'm actually going to have a curved stair in the end in this space, but it's not really going to be a spiral. But it's the same principle. I'm going to mark out the centre, and also I'm going to maybe even start setting out the curve as well before I even go to draw my stairs. So I'm going to use reference planes just by drawing two crossing over each other. That'll give me an intersection that I can use as the reference for my stairs. So I know where the centre is, no matter what happens. And so now when I go to draw my stairs, again using Run with the curve option, I can snap to that intersection, and you'll see it'll come up as intersection. It should tell you that, and come out from there. So again, my start point will be around here somewhere. That's what I'm after. And then coming around, so I haven't given big enough radius, I'll just cancel that and start again. So again, starting on that intersection, coming out a bit further. That's really what I'm after. And then, let's see, that might have to be the start point. Yeah, and then I can bring this around as far as I need to. Now, I'm going to finish that and just show you why it's useful. Because what you'll find with stairs like this, you'll often need to rotate them. And so I know that I'll have to rotate this so that the last step lines up with my floor on the level above. So I'll do that now on level 2. You can see there's my stairs. Here's the floor that I want it to go to. So by just selecting that stair and the that center point, I can easily move those things together. So I'll maybe just snap this right onto the floor. And then I can rotate this now around the, so let's just go back into this. I can rotate this now around the center point if I need to, so I can, using the rotate tool, easily move this base point onto that center point, and so I can bring it around from the edge of the stair itself and make that a horizontal edge. And I can keep moving it. And it's just a little trick, because what you find when you go to do something like, well, I'm just going to draw some lines, and I'm going to snap to the center. So SC snaps to the center, and you can see that it is snapping to the where I've got the reference planes. But it won't always do that. I'll just see here if we try some other curves there. It's doing a pretty good job this time, but trust me, that won't always be as accurate. So yeah, it's just a little trick. It makes life much easier if you have that center point set out first. And then now if I, again, just select all of those things, so the stair and the two reference planes. Notice I'm not selecting the railing, because the railing automatically moves with the stairs. So using move now to snap that onto the edge of my stair, or from the edge of my stair onto the edge of my floor. Okay, so that should line up pretty well. I'd probably fine tune the end there as well, but we'll have a look at that, how to do that later. So just again, going back to the section boxed view, you can see that's lining up pretty well now.
Wouldn't you want it to like spiral and forward, like, circle?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so just a tighter radius, essentially, yep. And so that's all it is, a spiral stair. What you're talking about is actually a helix, but I know everyone calls them a spiral stair. A true spiral is a completely different shape. And so, but yeah, when people say a spiral stair, they often mean a stair with a tight curve that has a centre post that the treads are framed off. Okay, and so that is it's something you can easily do with that tool I just showed you, but I'm also just going to show you as well. If you go to the metric library, I'll just show you what I did just then. I click the open button. I'm not doing load family or anything like that. You can also just go to the main menu and choose open. Then if you browse to the metric library, and you'll see a sample files folder there, and there's a stairs file there. Open that up, and you'll see a whole series of pre-made stairs, and there you can see some things probably exactly what you're after. So you can copy and paste those into your files really easily. Yep, absolutely, exactly. So it's best just have a look at those and you'll see how they've done those. It's basically the same as what I just showed you, with the addition of a column for the centre post there. And that's it. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you that. If I select both the stair there and the column and the railing using Control, doesn't hurt to take all of those things. Copy to clipboard is in this clipboard panel, so it's not your regular copy tool on the modify panel, it's copy to clipboard up here. Doesn't hurt to remember Control Tab will switch views, so that's switched back to the file I was working in. You might need to do that a few times to get to the right view. And I'm going to go into the same level I was on previously, MES, level 1 MES. On the modify panel, I'm just going to go to the paste tool there. Control V would do the same thing. And I'm just going to click, again, if you get a message, just click OK. And so I'm just going to click roughly to place this new stair. Okay, now a few really good things happen just by doing that. Here you might get a message about the riser count, that's fine. So back in my section box view, you can see it's come through pretty well, but you can see the height is not quite right. So it's going from the right levels, and if it had enough treads, it'd make it with the right riser count, but it can't. There aren't enough treads for it to get to my level 2 without it being over the maximum riser that you're allowed. So not everything's going to work perfectly, but at least you've got that. And then if you did want to change it, you could always go and edit the sketch, just like any stair you've made yourself. The only thing that's sometimes tricky with this kind of stair is when they're overlapping, and that's why I try and avoid showing them to people at first. It's a problem with spiral stairs in general. Once they go over themselves, you've really got to think about what's happening. It's not, lots of issues like that with stair design. So I'm going to try stretching this blue line. That's one way of extending a stair. And that's not working. You can see it's got some issues. So let's try going the other way. No, you can see, oh, here we go, 14. No, that's not working either. Okay, so the only option I'd have there really would be to try and draw a new run, or let's see, there's a few tricks I can show you later using the line tool. So you can, I'll just very quickly show you one of them, which is to draw a line and then use the trim tool to extend the run to that line. And you can see there, no, that's still not working. Look, I'll leave the real tricks to get that working for another day because it's quite complex. But anyhow, for now, that's a good way of just getting some of those spiral-looking stairs, I know the ones you're after, into your space. So don't forget about that technique, copying and pasting from a project file is what I was doing, and I'm going to go over that again later today. So I'll stop that one now, 40 minutes.